I really want to be in New York. Like I would love to be able to do it again, but hey, things happen. So for myself, once I got notification from him, I'm like, damn, this low key sucks though, because like people was telling me last minute, like I already had the friends, the other couple friends, they were telling us last minute they didn't want to do it close to that 1 month mark, and then this friend's telling me like after I kind of extended the time, like the notice period, and only have a couple weeks now. So man, when I tell you at this point, this is where everything shifted. So it was hard thinking about what I was going to do and how I was going to make it happen. But the only thing I know within myself is just to get to it, and you got to grind. The only thing I know is like, when you're at the points of adversity, you got to figure that shit out. You got to figure out how to be able to get it done, because hey, nobody's going to do it for you. Everybody got their own lives going on, but in places where it's competitive, everybody's trying to do the same thing, and everybody's trying to get it in the same type of way. How are you going to be different? So, excuse me. At that 2-week mark, I didn't even get mad or frustrated. I just took that as like, that's the final answer that I needed. And when I tell you that I got into grind mode, I got into grind mode. So I looked on StreetEasy, I was on Zillow, I was on all the different online applications, and I was typing in New York apartments. I was typing in anything from really like a 1-bedroom to a 2-bedroom, honestly, because I said for myself, like, I really don't want a roommate, and I'm determined to find my own spot no matter what. I'm determined to find this, but if I have to have a roommate, I got to do what it do. If I got to have multiples, I got to do what it do. But in my mind, I know when I'm really going after something, I want to achieve something, I'm going to get it because I know what I'm set on, and it's got to be to where I get turned down to the point of it just absolutely cannot happen for me to give up. So when I tell y'all that I put in multiple applications, I get the phone numbers, and I'm messaging realtors. I'm messaging like 30 and 40 realtors over the 2 weeks. Like I'm hitting up every single spot, emailing, checking my phone every few minutes. And then I'm still working at the same time too. So the in between calls, I'm getting it. Like I'm taking the city bikes down in between showings, coming back, taking the train. Like when I tell you that I'm grinding, like I'm getting up at 8, even earlier if they can do a showing. Let's say 8. The showing's at 9:30. I'm getting up at 8, getting a few things prepared for work, doing the showing at 9:30, coming back, may have a call at 10:30, then applying for more of them, then going to a showing at 11, right before the call ends, and then having to push the time back because I can't get there in time. Then getting to some showings where they have a set schedule time and people just pull up, and I'm in the back of the line because of how schedule is moving. Man, I'm just going through it all. Like I'm going 30 and 40 minutes out, taking Ubers that I don't really have the money for. I'm doing all this stuff just to be able to get it. And I'm like, I've got to keep going until I can't stop. And that's how I move when I'm in that grind mode, especially survival mode, because I'm like, I got to figure out something. And like sleep was off. I was exhausted by the time that I was able to figure out a situation. And hey, I kept on pushing through though, because I said, I am determined to make this happen. And then, the friends were trying to help. And it's funny, like when I'm really, really on something, like I appreciate people when they do help, but somebody's got to be able to do something a bit different, because more than likely I'm already looking at what you're looking at. Now, if you provide me a different type of application or whatever, than what I'm using, cool. But if you kind of just ask me like basic level questions, like I'm gonna kind of be frustrated, because that's the baseline. Like when they were asking me, so are you messaging people back, or like come on now, like that's common sense. Like that's rule number one. I'm gonna message. I'm gonna be calling. I'm gonna be doing everything, especially put my sales hat on, because I'm trying to get to my destination, but I'm also trying to get what I want. And so, and one friend in particular that was just like, man, it's probably not going to happen as far as you getting your own spot. You might as well look at like a 4-bedroom and stuff like that. So that was a little bit odd to me, because also like the type of person that I am, like I have goals of things I want to achieve. And I appreciate when people can encourage me, being like, hey, DeMarcus, you know what? Go after your 1-bedroom. Like, I think you're going to get that. But, also keep your eyes open for the other spots. But I know you a type of like go after what you want. Like, hey, just because it's New York City don't mean you can't accomplish that. Go get that. I would have appreciated that, but that's beside the point. Like, I'm just someone that's determined and I find it in my own type of way. I don't even need the validation or whatever. Like, because oftentimes in how you move, you can't expect other people to move that type of way. And when it comes to pushing through adversity, your experiences can be a lot different. So how you operate may be in a whole different lane than other people. But fast forward, I kept looking for spots. And I probably went to after messaging those 30 plus realtors, I mean, I can't even tell you the amount of showings that I went to, the ones that I pulled up on and just turned away. Like there were some showings where they had 60 plus people standing in line waiting to see it. And they weren't even on time, some of the realtors. So you'd have 60 people waiting outside and you just like, man, this is crazy. And some of the locations would be kind of odd. There was this one spot I went to not too far from where we had lived, and it was like right on the corner of like a corner store, and like there was nothing nearby. All it was just trains, the highway, and I'm like, damn, you got people paying like high amounts of money for this? That's crazy. So I was just constantly searching. Now we'll keep it real with y'all as well. When you think about a one bedroom in New York, people fool y'all with the prices because they're always thinking about Manhattan and yeah, just really up in Upper West Side and all those different areas. That's where people's paying $3,500 for a shoebox. Trust me, many people is not going to pay that, and it absolutely makes no sense, especially because in those certain areas of Manhattan, like there ain't even no culture and stuff there. There's not really much going on besides a few like stores, shops, and maybe some spaces to go out. But especially for the black folks or the people that want culture, like you need to be there in Harlem. You need to be like Brooklyn, like Lower East Side, in those areas where our people used to be at. Is not anywhere like it used to be from how they talked about back in the day. But for me, knowing New York anyways, like Queens, but definitely like Bed-Stuy, Harlem, Brooklyn as a whole, like those were the spots where people wanted to be at. And so I'm thinking like, I'm gonna pay $3,500 to be in the shoebox and in those other areas? Hell no. So for one bedrooms, I mean, you can look at it now. There was some more bedrooms for $1,500, $1,800, some around like 22, 23. You had them all the way up into $3,500. But when I looked at like Brooklyn specifically, you seen them all the way from $1,500 to we'll say the average was like $1,500 to $2,500. Usually the $2,500 one was like a new apartment building where they had all the other amenities and stuff like that, but that's still way less than $3,500. But you also within the $2,500 range, if you wanted the new spot with the amenities, you were still getting a one bedroom with your own bathroom and living room. So this is where when they tell y'all that there's not spots in New York where you can get cheaper apartments and apartments that come like at least with some depth, folks are lying. So again, was applying. I ended up coming across an apartment not too far from Church Ave. When I got to this apartment, it looked really nice. I was like, this is the one. Because I had been apartment hunting and I couldn't get anything. Well, let me take it a step back. On Ocean Ave, there was 4 different spots that I was getting close to. There was a spot on Ocean Ave I got a chance to go in, and I was one of the first applicants there. This was like a nice studio, 1 bedroom, and then it also had like a living room, and then it also had a kitchen area. Real small, kitchen area, but it was right next to the train station. But it looked dope. I was like, for a 1 bedroom in New York, I think this one was going to cost like $1,800 or something like. No, it's going to cost like 2021 or something like that. 2021, somewhere around that. I was like, oh man, this could be dope. And the guy said that the only thing that's frustrating about this spot is just the train station. I'm like, you know what? For my 1 bedroom and all that, I could figure something out. Like, this would be fire. So apply for that. I was the first one that applied for it, and then I'm connecting with the realtor. I'm thinking that I'm good. He's telling me that I'm ahead of the race. There's other people applying, but I'm in the lead, or I'm one of the top people they're looking at. After following up, he tells me, "Hey, DeMarcus, we decided we ended up giving it to somebody else, or the property manager wanted to go with somebody else." Man, I was devastated because I'm like, man, I thought I found the spot. This was going to be a good one. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna find another deal. I was like, bro, like this was my shot to have like something for nice rent, like a nice rent price in New York City and Brooklyn. And something I did forget to mention also, a big reason too why we didn't continue living in the 4 bedroom. So the first year that we got there was 1,400. The second year it moved up to 1,525, and if we were going to live there again, it was going to be around like $1,700 to $1,800 per person. So I'm like, shit, if I can find my own spot in the city, that's even if it's a few $100s more, that's way better than paying that 1,700 to 1,800 for a 4 bedroom with other roommates. Like, come on now. So I told you about the first spot that was going to be on Ocean Ave. So then I come across the second spot. It's on Flatbush. This was crazy because for this spot, I actually ended up getting. Now, what happened was online when I was on, I think it was StreetEasy, I found it on there and then I had messaged the realtor. When I messaged the realtor, I got to the location and he ended up telling me that the spot that I was looking at, they ended up giving it to somebody else, but he had a similar spot that would end up being less money, but it was still like had the spaciousness as the other one. It was still as spacious as the other one. So I said, okay, I mean, that's cool. Check this other spot out. Loved it. I was like, okay, this is fire. It was pretty much like an open doorway. Then they had a bathroom and a kitchen. So it really only had like the living room and the bedroom were together. But I was like, man, this is like a week before I got to move out of the other apartment. So if I can get this one, I'm locked in. So the crazy thing is when it came to the broker fees, the broker fee is a percentage of the rent because how the brokers were doing it is whenever you would have any type of, instead of a deposit, the brokers would be able to charge you a broker fee. So they were taking that. And oftentimes for a broker fee, that means somebody is taking you through multiple spots and then they're helping you to find a location. So they can charge that because it's almost like a listing fee. But if you're just paying that without them doing any type of work, that's absolutely insane. But in addition to that, it already being crazy as hell, if you find me a spot that's lesser in value, my thought process is the broker fee should be less. Because if the broker fee is similar to what the deposit would be, then that needs to equal out to what it's going to be for the spot that's less. So what ended up happening was I ended up sending the for that spot it had a broker's fee and I think the first month's rent. Ended up sending the first month's rent, but then the realtor told me that the broker fee would be the same for that spot as it would have been for the other spot. And this was, like I said, this one was it was cheaper on paper as far as the rent, and then also it was smaller than the other one. So something in my spirit didn't feel right because I'm like, I'm gonna pay you the same amount, and this spot is like a different type of spot. And it was just other things as far as just the location itself that was just inconsistent when it came to like me getting in contact with the realtor. So I was like, man, I'm not doing this. Like, if he's giving me a hassle now, imagine if I have issues with the apartment complex and I need to speak to someone. Like, we just not even building good rapport. I just got to turn the business away. And I've learned this in sales. Like, you can have a super dope deal, but if the person is not cooperating, if the person is trash, just move on, because that just means the experience later on is just going to be even more hard for you. So it hurt me, but I'm talking about like a week before I had to move out of my apartment complex and figure if I was going to be still in New York or back home. I had to literally get my deposit back or get the money back from the first month rent or whatever it was and let that spot go. I had to put my pride aside and say, no, I had to bring my pride forward and say, you know what, I can't do it. I was like, even putting my pride aside, something wouldn't make sense as far as how I feel I'm going to be living. Because I know if I need something or if this is not a good situation, I'm going to feel frustrated because I acted off of impulse versus me being like, hey, you know what? We're going to try something else. And so don't get me wrong. Sometimes acting off impulse can be good because it's like, you just like, hey, I got nothing else to lose, or this is the only situation I have, so I got to make something happen. But anyways, literally probably 3 to 4 days before I had to move away from the apartment, I found another realtor online. For this realtor, they had a location for an apartment I was checking out. I'm going to check out in Brooklyn College. So I'm like, man, it's a bit far out, but hey, this could maybe be, a spot. Because I was still just looking at all these other locations. Like I had a friend of mine put me in contact with a realtor like that had spots in Bed-Stuy, but those were too expensive. So I was still checking out other locations. But this one in particular was the third one I was going to check out. So this is number 3. So I hit up the realtor, and then as I'm getting prepared to go and check out the spot from Brooklyn College, the guy tells me like, hey, DeMarcus, so we ended up deciding to move forward with somebody else for this spot. He said, but I may have another spot that's coming up. So I'm like, man, here we go. I'm thinking that this other spot could maybe be it. I'm really not even kind of getting my hopes up because I really didn't want that spot, but it was probably like the last shot that I had before I would have to move. So the guy tells me about the 4th spot. He said, DeMarcus, I haven't even put this on the map yet, but I can show it to you. So again, I'm still hustling and bustling like I'm doing. And then I get over to check out this location. He shows me the spot, fire. I'm like, man, this is incredible. I get my own kitchen, my own bedroom, my own living room and bathroom. Man, this is better than any of the spots that I've seen. Plus, I'm like, I'm about to even get it for a better rate than all those other locations. Man, when I tell you, I check out the spot, loving it, knew everything in here. It came unfurnished, but I'm like, this could be such a dope spot. The guy tells me, yeah, DeMarcus, so this one comes with a deposit, a broker fee, and first month's rent. I said, my boy, you said what? He said, yeah, this one comes with a deposit, broker fee, and first month's rent. I said, shit, I don't know about that. I ain't got the money. You talking about, multiple thousands at this point. I'm just like, man, I can't do that. I said, how long do I got to think about it? He said, man, DeMarcus, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I know this spot's going to sell ASAP, so you got less than a day to let me know because, I got to put it up and it's going to go. So, man, I end up going back, thinking about it. I called my family. I talked to them about, what would make sense. I was really contemplating about like how much money I had to spend and what that was going to look like. And I had to, at that point, say to myself, DeMarcus, this is the point, another point in you saying to you, you've got to do what needs to be done, especially if you don't want to go back home. Like, you're going to have to put your pride, this is where you put your pride aside and say, we got to make it happen. It was hard. Even before, I had a bit of family support, but I had to be able to, to pay that back. So I'm like, I'm thinking in my mind, like, I can't, this is, I know as far as family, like they'll show love in a way where they're not asking, for anything back, but it's the principle of just, when you're trying to figure out life, like, you gotta, if people take a time out of their budgets and however in their lives, like, it's your responsibility to be able to pay it back and forth. So as I was just thinking through the process, I had a conversation with my dad and he was just like, man, DeMarcus, he said, you know what? This is what you really want to do. Similar conversation when it came to as far as my recent situation. He's like, you know what you want to, you know what you want to do, and if this is where you feel you want to be, man, you're just gonna have to pay it. So we ended up figuring out a way to get that done with the finances a little bit that I had. Ended up paying it, and I was able to find a 1 bedroom with a living room, kitchen, and the bathroom for 2 G's. So after I was able to get the confirmation about the apartment, that was only 2 days before I had to move out of the other spot. So that process was crazy because I had to go and get a U-Haul, had to take all types of stuff. Like, even when it came to me packing, like, some of the friends that I had with me, like, they was packing this up a bit, but like, man, I'm over here taking the full couch downstairs by myself. Like, I'm used to in the country, for real, like, getting it done. You know what I'm saying? Back home, you know, in small town, like, we get it done. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, you might be tired or exhausted, but you got to push through. I remember I had one friend where he was like trying to like clown about like last minute stuff because he knew he had movers or whatever. Movers didn't even show up, so he was like last minute scrambling. But like, that's what happens when you try to, you know, you think that your process cool or whatever. But man, I ended up getting a U-Haul, having to pack everything, and then literally like I was hoping I would even be able to convince him to have more time at the like another day at the old spot so I could be able to prepare the rest of the stuff, because as we're packing, didn't even realize how much stuff was in that damn apartment. And one roommate ended up leaving a bunch of stuff behind, so we had to clean up behind him, and it was just so much chaos. So the biggest thing was I was looking back and I said, man, I got my own 1 bedroom now in New York. And so I was just ready for the packing and everything to be done because I'm like, man, this is crazy. So I ended up having to get a U-Haul. Man, was riding a U-Haul around, like, crazy incident with that. Then by the time that I got to the new apartment, shoot, had to sleep in the I think you had to figure out a area to park the U-Haul. Was riding around for like some hours trying to find some pre-parking. Man, ended up having to park it a little bit far from the spot. Ended up coming and laying on the floor in the new apartment with a couple of my boys. So we just laying on the floor in a few things that we had, and they stayed with me. And man, I was able to lock down after all that time my first apartment on my own in my life. And I was able to do that in New York City. So my first ever apartment that I had on my own, I was able to find in New York City. And to that day, till this day, I'm still here. The beautiful thing about the apartment is it's rent stabilized. So for any of y'all that's going through the process of trying to find an apartment here, find you a rent stabilized apartment, because in how the rent will go up is based on how the city votes. So they can either vote between 0 to 5%, and based on that is how the price of rent will either will increase. There may be lucky where there's some years where it doesn't increase, but that's a lot different than the apartment complex that I had lived at with the friends, where if in 3 years it went from 1,400 to, let's say, 1825 maybe, which is ridiculous. So 1,400 times, if you do, let's see, we do 35%. So 1,400 times, if we do 1,400 times, let's see, 30%. Yeah, so it was about 30% that it went up. So $420 extra dollars. So if you have a rent stabilized apartment, that's not going to happen for you, which is a bless. So the beautiful part about it is, and even the spot that I was looking at first, the first couple ones, those are going to be rent stabilized. But I'm like, I got a cheaper rate for 2 racks at a spot that's even bigger, less expensive. And no, actually, I take that back. I think maybe the spot that I had, maybe one of them was going to be rent stabilized, but that's beside the point. Come to a spot where it's got a gym in the apartment. I got my own spot, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, living room for 2 racks in a rent stabilized apartment. So fast forward, go through that process, and then, you know, I'm living on my own in New York, and we're still here to this day. But the process as far as continuing it to have things, you know, move forward, And as I told y'all, the process of me going through the layoffs again, and then for 2.5 years, not really being able to make it through. Now, being able to continue to sit in this apartment, ended up signing a 2-year lease, renewing, and was able to even to get a solid rate. So the increase wasn't even a whole lot. And I'm like, man, I'm able to live on my own in New York City. And many people don't even know this, because many people still think that I live with friends or whatever. I don't. Some people just, I've even told that I have my own spot. People don't even know. But also too, I don't even like announce that I have my own spot all the time. If you see my content, like, you haven't seen anybody in my content in my spot for years, unless friends are visiting. But so yeah, I got my own apartment complex in New York. Excuse me, all the ups and downs that I've been going through, I finally, especially by leveling up with a new gig and all that, I've been able to buy my own furniture now. I've finally been able to get a new couch. I got, like I said, my desk, my chairs. Like, it's starting to feel at home now. And the big thing is, for those first 4 years of me going through New York in the way that I did, because it'll be 4.5 right now, it'll be 5 years coming up in August. But those first 4 years were literally just preparation. To be honest, even though I've lived and enjoyed New York so much, I don't even feel like I truly lived up until now. Like, now it feels like, oh, okay, like he's really, really living. Like, because before, you're grinding, you're going through adversity, you're in survival mode. So a lot of that is just having so much fun experiences, but you're trying to maneuver life as a young adult, and you're going through that grind period. Still a grind in different areas of my life that I'm going through, and it will be for sure, especially, having goals of being able to push my brands, in addition to leveling up at work. But being able to get through what I got through and being able to sit comfortable like I am in this moment, even with some different debts that I have and things I still have to pay off, this is the most accomplished that I've felt. And each year I feel more and more accomplished because of how I allow myself to show up in life. The adversity I've been able to get through is tremendous. And looking at that 30 is going to be coming here soon, I'm so thrilled just to be able to look back and see all the accomplishments that I've made. And it allows me to truly be able to level up and be able to be in a whole different world and a whole different element. So I'm super appreciative of just my lane and my path, and I hope this story can be able to share with somebody else. I can share with somebody else to enlighten them, push somebody to get out of their comfort zone, or just experience something that you wanted to experience. But more importantly, like, push through all the negative talks or all the insecure talks or whatever. Like, people are going to say that you can't do it, or they're it's not even going to be where people are going to wish bad on you, but some folks are just going to, feel as if it's impossible, or they're not going to get out of their comfort zone, so it's not going to look like that for you. It's hey, because other people's experiences have been like, they worked hard and it happened. You don't know how other people are working. They don't know how you're working. I know, like, my go-getter mentality is just like, I'm going to keep going until the no is just like so outlandish where it's impossible. Like, you got to make it impossible for me. And so being able just to live here on my own, it's changed me in so many different ways. It's leveled me up, I mean, tremendously. I keep saying the word tremendous, but like, when I think about my growth and the ways that I've evolved, like, I am super happy, blessed, and thankful. And I sit in this seat just full of joy, because through all the ups and downs, I keep making my younger self proud. All those times of frustration and just being confused, and just not knowing where life would lead me, as I continue to move forward, I can look back and be like, man, I got out of my comfort zone so much where the comfort zone can't fuck with me. Like, if comfort zone was a person and it was looking me dead in my face, like, I would literally look at comfort zone and be like, you are a bitch. Like, you are, like, you can't mess with me. Because you, comfort zone, have did so much to try to get me in your element. And you put me through so many tough situations and so many points of frustration. But now I've been able to get a grasp on it. And even though there's certain things in life that can be uncomfortable, comfort zone, you will not fully gravitate, you will not grab me and gravitate me towards your existence. Because I know that there's so much more in me. And being able to get where I've been able to being able to get to this point and being so far removed from staying in comfort zone, life is just inevitable. And there's, again, moments where you can get into that space of comfort. There's nothing wrong with that, but you've got to look comfort zone in its face and say, F you. Because the amount of times it held you back and you hold those regrets and you hold those frustrations and you hold that resentment, it continues to gain control. Because it's saying that, hey, you know what, this human, you talk too much. You ain't really about what you talk about. Oh, I already knew that you was lame to listen to everybody else because you ain't got it in you to not do that. Okay, you just gonna do what everybody else does because that's how you built. But you gotta look back at it and say, fuck you, comfort zone. Because comfort zone is something that many people stay in the rest of their life, something that is the most challenging thing as a human because you can go through all the experiences in the world, but you've got to battle with your own mind to say, if I want something different, I got to get out of this space. And comfort zone is right there hugging you the whole time. Comfort zone can be cool sometimes. It's like, hey, okay, I like where I'm at, but it's usually the negative parts of the comfort zone that keep us stuck. Because that just, hey, I'm cool, let me chill for a bit, turns into, hey, this is just, I guess this is what I got to go with. Like, I guess this is my life, my reality. Like, no. That's the myth. That's the game that it plays with you. And it's not always going to be to where everything's going to work out, but in the way that you want. But when you push further and further away from comfort zone and you continue to push forward, comfort zone cannot F with you because it doesn't even have a way to be able to get to you because you're working in so many different realms. Everything that's being thrown at you is being blocked. It's like you got a shield. It's a lot of pressure because you got all these different things that keep trying to hit you, and you're trying to go and find cover in an environment that's different because you know that the same environments is not going to be where growth happens, but you got to keep moving forward. So in my experience, especially living on my own now, like I love it. I'm super thrilled. I truly feel like now in this year, towards the end of last year and now is like, I feel like I'm just now actually, I've lived in New York, but I'm just now living in New York. And still when I go outside, I feel as if I'm just somebody that's fresh. Like, I don't even feel like, I feel like I'm starting from -5, moving my way up. Not just starting from 0 and I've been here 5 years. It's almost kind of like started at -10, -4, and then you're moving. Not that it's a negative experience. I'm just talking about like if they said that 10 was you feeling as if like you were ready to move or you're ready to do like live in another environment. I'm literally still at like maybe even -1 or 2. I ain't even got into the positive side of the number scale yet because I'm just so excited where I'm going and just so happy with how I'm leveling up and evolving. Like, I pray that my experience is nowhere close to done, but also while I'm in this environment, I pray that I'm able to even be a part of more experiences, be able to travel, maybe even have a short stand of time where I can still have my spot and live somewhere else, or be able to, get my money together where I can take multiple trips. Like, I feel being placed here is going to allow everything else to open up. So, man, hopefully this was a good episode for y'all. I know it was real raw in the way I was presenting it and talking about life, but I think that like folks need to hear this type of stuff. And at 29 years old, like it's great for people to be able to hear experiences of folks in their 20s. Like, there's other experiences that I'm going to keep on sharing that I've experienced in my early 20s and things I'm looking forward to in my 30s. But I think it's great for people of all ages to be able to hear something like this because age shouldn't be a limit on what you can do, but also there shouldn't be anywhere close to a restriction on your experience. Get out there and do it. You've been a person that constantly says, I want something new, I want to change, like whatever that is, like say F you to the comfort zone. Like comfort zone is just keeping you there and you've been past the part of where it's a bit positive. You've been stuck in that negative phase for so long now. So fuck the comfort zone, say F you to the comfort zone, look it in the face, deal with it, but do not let it be something that it pulls you in and pushes you to gravitate towards its energy. You've got to be in control. You got to do what you do and go out and make the things happen that you want to happen. So appreciate y'all for tuning in. This will most likely probably be like a part 2. So me cutting this because I think I may have gotten to about an hour on this episode, but if not, if I do keep it together, make sure you tune in and listen to the full thing. If you got to the end and you missed certain parts, I encourage you to go check out the full episode. If you haven't got a chance to check out the other episodes that I have, make sure you do that. And yeah, the life of a multifaceted, this is where we're talking about my life and hoping to help and encourage other people, but just embracing ourselves as we continue to move forward in our journey. So it's your boy DeMarcus. I'm up out of here. Peace.